Hello and welcome to DDOCast episode 543, recorded the weekend of December 30th. I'm your host Patrick. With me this week is nobody. It's just going to be myself. There's almost no news, as is typical for this time of year. Before we get too far into it, though, screenshot of the week, Sagramorpold warms by a fire in the 397th screenshot of the week. Nice eyes. We like to talk about Dungeons & Dragons online nearly every weekend. You can catch us through YouTube, Twitch, the DDO forums, iTunes, or from our website, DDOCast.com. DDOCast is hosted by Cyber Ears, the awesome podcast hosting network. Shows are usually available within a few days of recording. The next show will probably be next Saturday. First one of the year. Should have a new topic. Probably our year in review show. Kind of the plan here. You can stay updated by following us on our social media pages. I apologize. I have not been updating them as much the last 2 weeks. It's just been kind of busy in holidays and trying to figure out what the shows are going to look like. What they're going to look like? Just me for one little news section because, like I said, this time of year, holidays in the U.S., not really a lot going on. They're not really making any, letting us know any plans or anything. It's just kind of everything just kind of moving on forward and much as it is. On the podcast this week, I'll cover what little news there is, kind of give you an idea what's kind of going on for the next couple days in terms of boosts and sales, stuff like that. And then we'll have part 3 of our Killing Time walkthrough as well at the end of this, after I'm done blabbing my mouth off a little bit. Like I said, there is no game news to talk about, but there are sales and bonus days. There is a 10% Heroic and XP boost as well as a 5% Buddy boost through January 3rd. There's also a new item in the store. This is as close as we get to news this week. There's an improved Epic Autos box. What's in this? Well, there is a Stone of Improved Epic Experience, which is worth 4 million XP. The standard one is worth 2 million. So if you were to, say, have a 50% pot and, other fun stuff, as it were, which, it's fairly common for people to have such things going, like XP boosts and stuff like that. Well, so how much is that going to be? A lot. That's really kind of the what are you going to get out of it? Because you're going to get you get about 340,000 just from 2 million XP, so there's going to be quite a bit more than that available there. So you also will get 5 superior experience elixirs, 5 major Slayer count boosts, 2 greater elixirs of discovery. So that's kind of fun. Those are the things that allow you to get new or better chance of getting named loot. That kind of increase those percentages. 5 superior spirit cakes, 3 greater spirit cakes, a complete reincarnation timer reset, 1,300 combinations of valor, and your choice of either an orange gelatinous cube, creature companion, or 65 astral shards. The Stone of Experience information. So it gets you 4 million XP, and if you have basically all the bonuses that you can get, VIP bonus, voice, ship, 50% pot, you're going to get about 6.8 million XP. So it's a lot. More if there's a VIP bonus weekend. It can be used anytime during epic levels, so you have to be 20 plus. The XP can be increased by all the XP boosts and all that stuff. XP will still cap at level 30, but it can go, it's epic XP, like an epic stone. It can go to your level, go to your karma, it can go to your active destiny. Of course, it will. You can cap any 3 of those, so use it early rather than later. What's the cost, you might ask? Basically 7,000 points. It's 6,999 points for this, so it's a lot of points. But it's about 2,000 more points than a standard epic autos box. The sales This is the last week of December deals, so through January 3rd, you get 35% off of +3 tome of Use Magic Device and the upgrade tomes, 50% off of Superior Guild Renowned Elixirs 25 stack, as well as the Phoenix Robe, Shadowfell Regalia, and Top Hat. You can also get 75% off of Menace to the Underdark and Shadowfell Conspiracy in the DDO market. So usually those have gone on sale around Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Cyber Monday kind of stuff, but this time they're coming last week of December. It's worth noting, when you buy that, you can get, I think it's like 11,000 points for $60 or something like that. It's a kind of an add-on thing that they do that you can buy when you get those expansions. So that's an option, even when that's on sale. No, the point bundle that you can get with it is not on sale. It's just those ones, but it can be a little bit. I think it's, other than triple bonus points, it's the most points you can get per dollar at a time. So the standard sale this week is Adventure in Advance. You can get 30% off of select adventure packs and Quest XP elixirs. You can also get 5 long-lasting Bear Stamina potions with a coupon code BEARSTAM, STAM. So, and all that's through January 3rd. Community news. There was a Chronicle last week. Didn't have a show last week, but we'll cover the Chronicle. So it was the 314th Chronicle. The comment was, what do you think the main ingredient in festival cookies is? Probably some sort of magical cookie dough, something like that. The community spotlight was for Shadowpalooza, which by the time this airing, I think it was done for the year. But props to Evenote and Bonnie and I think it was Thorgren, kind of putting that together, including a fundraiser for kids. So that's great. The guild for the week, Hit and Miss, is a small level 68 guild that's actively recruiting players of all levels and play styles to fill their ranks. They're looking for friendly players that are looking to group with laid-back adventurers to help and create a close-knit community for all players, new and old. So you can check out their website for more info there. Fansite news. DDO Players News had episode 204, Crossing the Fail Bridge. A programming note for them, actually. They are going to be moving to Wednesdays. They have been airing on Monday, but they're going to move to Wednesday now, starting in the new year. Mickey's Raids had week 101. We got a shout out for our last episode, DDOCast 542. DDOPL had a video. D&D Night on DDO Stream got a shout out. Bard Life with Doug Glendower. DDO Sunday with Alex and Lynn, and Streaming with Even, and Free DO episode 11 with Psycho Blonde all also had episodes for that. There was also in the last week, Mickey Celerum had raids week 102, so if you want to check in on that, you can as well. DDOcast news, DDOcast Spot will be back in the new year, January 8th. We are not going to have an episode on the 1st, on New Year's Day. But we'll be back. And of course, don't forget to check out D&D Night on DDO Stream. D&D Kasplat, which is the group that I am DMing, will be continuing our second Sunday of the month schedule. All that is 7 to 10 Eastern, 4 to 7 Pacific, which is my usual time zone that I give information out. But so there you go. So yeah, like I said, there you go. That's the news this week. There's not really a whole lot going on. News for the last 2 weeks, actually. There's just not a lot going on this time of year. There usually isn't. We can look forward to next year. A lot of fun stuff. We know Sharn's coming and all that fun stuff. And we'll be reviewing this last year very soon on the show as well. So, thanks for listening to the show. Thank you to all the folks who help make DDOcast happen, and to Standing Stone Games and Wizards of the Coast, and to Cyber Ears for hosting the podcast. If you'd like to support the show, you can visit our website, DDOcast.com, or you can find us on Patreon as well. If you have a DDO-themed webpage, or you Twitch DDO, and you'd like to be featured on our website, send me an email, ddocast@gmail.com. Let me know. I'd be happy to do that for you. You can also hit us up at DDOcast.com for show notes, MP3s, our calendar, previous shows, and other fun stuff. If you'd like to be a part of the show or have a comment on this episode, a question you'd like to hear us answer, a topic you'd like to hear us discuss, or you just want to say hi, you can leave us a comment or you can email us at DDOCast@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter for the latest cast updates, as well as Facebook, but Twitter's kind of the best one. So stay tuned. What we have next is part 3 of our guide, Killing Time with Voodu. Thanks for listening. All right, welcome back. We are still talking about Killing Time, part 3 of our kind of guide and discussion. We have been talking with Voodu. Welcome back, sir.
Hey everyone, thank you.
And we're having some fun talking about how to die less in Killing Time and succeed. You can't get through it without dying, but it's not the easiest way to do that. There's lots of things that are trying to kill you. And we're going to talk about some of the ones that are going to kill you the best coming up here. So far, what we've talked about, we've gone through the penalty boxes. We've talked about the first couple of fights with Krakaza. We've gone through Von 3, and we are about to go into the second time rift, which is Tower of Despair. Which is one of the ones that are, as I said before, this is probably the place that this is going to make or break your run, generally speaking. This is where things go sideways. This is where things go kind of crazy. If you're familiar with Tower of Despair, it's the same mechanic for the most part. Where you've got, I can never pronounce this guy's name, Netherios or something.
Netherios.
Yeah, there we go. He's going to be, you probably want to keep him on the dais by the throne. Someone's going to be running shadows around, trying to outpace them and not die. These are all very similar mechanics to what we've found before in Tower of Despair. As you are kind of preparing to go into here, cold absorption and reduction of cold damage is really helpful, particularly if you're the kiter, because that's what they're going to do. It's helpful to know that the shadows do damage as an aura. It's kind of like a firewall. If you're in the aura, it's going to tick intermittently. If you're kind of dancing in and out of the edges, you're going to take damage a lot faster. So you don't want to be. You kind of want to either keep a good distance or be really close to them. And otherwise, if you're kind of on the fringe of that aura and going in and out of it, you're going to take damage faster, which is helpful to know. Let's see. These things run. These things move pretty much as fast as someone who's got striding or haste on. So if you can run faster than that, you will probably have more success. Grabbing aggro is probably the biggest part of this section. And that's kind of what we found to be kind of the problem spot for us. What do you...
I have a solution.
Please tell us.
A flawless solution, because you're right. That was a problem for us too. And this part is absolutely clutch. And this is not time like for somebody to say, hey, I'll give it a try. Like, you need somebody that can do this,
Yep.
that knows how to do it. And if you want to practice, go into Tower of Despair. Go in on normal. Anybody can solo it up to part 2 on normal, if you're level 30. And, run the shadows around and get used to understanding how they react and how to kite them and stuff. So what you want to do here, this is really important. Send your kiter in first. Nobody else goes in. Just the kiter until the kiter gets the aggro of everything. And this takes a couple of minutes because all of the shadows don't spawn right away. They spawn in groups of 2. And you have Netherios there as well right away. So you got to wait for, I believe it's 6 shadows total
Sounds
plus
right.
Netherios. Once you have the aggro of all of that, and you want to do a little DPS too, because if you just have the aggro because they saw you first and you didn't do any damage to it, well then the first person that comes in that happens to have an aura or something, and it's a good idea for them to have their auras off if they have like Aura of Menace. But
Everyone
the
should have their
first
auras
person
off here.
that accidentally does a little bit of damage to a shadow is going to pull them right off you
Mhm.
if you didn't do any kind of damage. So it's good if you can do some damage to them, and they're immune to I think they're immune to fire and cold, so you have some limited options. But go in first as a kiter, wait till you have everything, and then once you're making a big circle, you can use the pillars to weave in and out of to kind of slow them down. But once you have them all their aggro and you're comfortable, call the party in, but make sure it's not while you're kiting the shadows in front of where the
Mhm.
party enters, because the party doesn't want to jump into a pile of shadows. So wait till after you go past that, and as soon as you get past that point, call the party in, gives them time to go up to the dais. Once they're up to the dais, then you have people who can very surgically single target DPS Netherios off you. So if somebody has Ruin and Greater Ruin, that's perfect. Just have that person and that person only target Netherios with Ruin and Greater Ruin, and that should pull them right off of you. The shadows stay on the kiter, and then the party fights Netherios up at the dais.
We've actually been using a slightly modified version of that, but I think there's just a couple points that we send 2 people. We send the kiter and someone who can grab Netherios a little bit, mostly just to kind of reduce one kind of aspect of what the kiter has to worry about. Once the kiter grabs the first 2 shadows, we send everyone up to the dais. The reason we do that is because the shadows can kind of spawn around the room, and if one spawns right behind the party where they're waiting, it's going to be a bad day for them. So that's how we kind of modify that. But yet, we have found time and again that if you send everyone up to that dais together, the shadows pick one person as they spawn to go up to. And what we have found is it takes a little bit of doing for the kiter usually to grab that aggro, and because you have to hit them. And this was true in Tower of Despair too. They generally they need a second to figure out who they want to actually go after and change their aggro. We've found. So what happens is you hit them, you get their aggro, but they still wander up to the dais and finish that pathing maneuver, and then they get up there and then they get hit and then they stay up there. So at most, you can do it the way Voodu's talking about, where you just send your kiter out there, or if you want to do it like we do it, where we send one person up there to hold Netherios on the dais for everyone else. Either one of those is fine. And then it's the kiters want to make sure you get that aggro as quickly as possible. I really like kiting in around the pillars, so you go outside of the pillars. I have found that typically prevents the shadows from kind of cutting the corner on me, which can be problematic. But yeah, it's once you kind of get them established in your kiting pattern, you should pretty much be in good shape once you kind of get things established. Some ways things can go pear-shaped here. Obviously, Netherios can wipe the party up top, and then the kiter's the only one alive, and that can get ugly pretty quick. If you don't have, you're talking about.
I've had that happen.
Yeah.
And if you have a competent kiter, the kiter can save it.
Yeah, they can.
I have done it.
The other ways that can go pear-shaped. Obviously, your kiter goes down. You can have shadows everywhere. So having someone that's kind of ready to back them up can be really helpful. If you're on the dais and you see shadows coming up the top, jump off to the side. Just jump straight down, because they don't jump off. They have to go back down the stairs. So it gives you a little bit of space to get away from them. One thing that we have definitely noticed and observed that is really important to know here: if you die, the shadows can stay aggroed on you. So if you die, you should be running away from the party. Because if the shadow was on you still, you're running away. Otherwise, if you stay there and the shadow is still aggroed on you and you're dead, you're going to keep hitting everyone else in the party. The shadow's not leaving. So if you're dead, make sure you're running away from the group in case the shadow is aggroed on you. That was something that was really helpful for us to kind of figure out and learn.
Do additional shadows spawn when people die? I don't think they do.
No, it's just the number, the 6 that spawn throughout the thing.
Okay.
There is a complication in this section. After a while, those pulsing purple circles will start showing up. They do damage. If you're the kiter, don't run through them. Everyone else, try not to run. Try not to stand in them. They don't appear on the dais, as far as I have observed. They do not. They just kind of appear around the rest of the room.
It's pretty easy to avoid them as the kiter. They do force damage, but you just need to really watch where you're going.
Once you got all 6 trailing behind you, you're in pretty good shape. As long as you can outrun them and not, you should be in pretty good shape. It's usually the places where people run into trouble here is getting the aggro of the shadows on the kiter initially. And I said that if you send a bunch of people up on the top of the dais, that it's more things for those first 2 to aggro, because the first 2 always aggro on either side of that dais. So having 1 or no people up there really helps. We found to really get that aggro, and then just giving the aggro as they spawn. The rest of the shadows don't spawn in the right next to the dais. They spawn out farther back in the room, so you have more time to hit them and get their aggro. You don't have to hit them very hard. You should hit them hard enough that they don't go after anybody else, because no one else should be bothering them in any way, shape, or form. In Tower of Despair, I was able to do this on a bard with glitter dust at the bottom of the stairs and a thrower. It's not what I would initially recommend here, because it's a little dicey in getting the aggro, and if you're just using a thrower, if they get up on the dais, then you're in trouble, because anyone else.
We have a thrower that does it. It can definitely be done.
It can definitely well, my bard is not a thrower. My bard was using a thrower.
Weapon. Right.
So let's be clear. This is not a...
Good to mention that the shadows do cold damage, so your kiter wants to have like the red fire shield going. And some of the old school stuff that we used to do in TOD doesn't seem to work really well. I mean, it used to be you drop a couple blade barriers or a couple AoEs down at the stairs, and as soon as the shadows hit that, they would immediately aggro on the caster or the kiter that put them there. And that doesn't work here.
I think I can tell you why that wasn't really always true. The shadows have always had this weird thing. Their reaction time has always been a little slow. And now that you're talking about an epics with all of the stuff that we've got and high DPS damage and a lot of splash damage, which you really want to keep to a minimum here, so you don't have to happen to you. But what happens is those ones, particularly those first 2, right? Like their pathing is almost always going to be to go straight up that dais. If you've got 11 people up there and 1 person out in front, there's a 1 in so each of them has a 1 in 12 chance of not going up the dais. And this is why we're recommending that you only send at most 1 person up there to hold the Ethereos, or just have the kiter take everything. But they've always had this thing where they'll recognize that they have someone else not on the dais as aggro, but they'll still walk up to the dais and then come back down. I have observed that countless times in Tower of Despair. The same thing happens in there, and it's always been a thing. Depending on how fast, if you don't hit them until they're at the bottom of the stairs, they'll make it up the dais every time. If that's where they're trying to go, so you just kind of got to be aware that there is a bit of a delay in that, in their aggro switching and their pathing. So.
How realistic, have you guys had any success tanking the shadows?
No, but we haven't really tried it. Mostly because we tend, when we're running this on hard, we're actually only using 1 tank, really, and some slightly beefier melee. So we don't, and in truth, if most groups that I've seen that have a tank, they're having the tank Netherios. I did go in and play with the shadows when that group wiped. I went in to kind of see how it would go. and I was on hard, and they were doing, through my absorption, they were still doing about 150 a tick.
It's pretty intense. I'm not sure that it's realistic to do that. That's why I wanted to make sure we discussed it. Kiting definitely seems like the safer option.
If you have a good
But
kiter, it's definitely the way I would recommend you go. However, I wouldn't say that it's not plausible to do this, but you're going to need to be really specialized about it. And I would say, I don't know that just a fire shield scroll is going to do it. Because the time is...
The old school... Oh,
the time is just not there. One of the things we didn't talk about is in the they changed how absorption on items work. So now it's just the highest absorption item you have. They don't stack on items anymore, which makes that a little bit hard.
You sure about that? Because I thought they work, sort of multiplicatively. That one's applied, and then whatever's left, the next is applied.
My positive, no. But a lot of people have said that, and I did a little bit of quick experimenting myself, and it seemed to be true. But I haven't done extensive research on it, no. But my understanding is that it's more items doesn't stack.
My understanding is that they just have to be different percentages.
That's what it used to be for sure, but I don't know if that's true anymore. In any case, is it plausible to tank these things? Yes, it definitely is. But you have to be able to take you're going to get hit 6 times every so often, right? And it's not like there's a 10-second window between when they damage. Like they're gonna tick you, they're gonna tick you, they're gonna tick you. But yes, I think it is plausible to do that. But I think you're gonna need someone healing you. I would say you're gonna need to stack up some extra things. If you have someone in Shirati, there's an elemental absorption clicky out of there that you can put on other people. I think that would be helpful. Which I think if you're running this on higher difficulties, you're probably going to want anyways to have at least one person have that. Put it on a tank and have it for the kiter as well. So I think there's definitely room to tank them, but it's not, the damage scaling makes it harder than if you're just doing Tower of Despair back in the day. Like it's not a 1-to-1 ratio, if that makes sense.
The old school trick to tanking them was, it is to stand still, because like you said earlier, when you move in and out of their aura, you're going to take damage. So you need to stand still, and then that way you're not taking a bunch of damage. You're still going to take some damage, but way less than if you're moving all around. So it's freaky when you first are learning to do that, because you're like, you kind of want to, dance around and juke around and stuff, but you need to really stand still. Another thing I don't think we mentioned is that on hard and higher difficulties, there is a death timer.
There is, yes.
In this raid.
The whole thing.
An important consideration. One advantage of, the way we do it here with just sending one person in to kite everything, to grab the aggro of everything, is that person goes down, you really have, kind of all the time in the world. As long as your tank and your healer that are off by themselves are competent, there's not really any sense of urgency. You can just wait for that death timer to go off and say maybe send in another person to raise the kiter, or send in a secondary kiter.
You're only sending in one person into the room, the whole room.
Period.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Like you send in the kiter only. Everybody else stays out until the kiter has the aggro of everything. Then we call in everybody else.
Sure.
And that has worked really well for us. We've been doing it that way ever since about week 2.
I don't think we were sure if the shadows spawned based on Ethereos' health or if it was a time mechanic.
It's timed. Yeah. You need to just wait for all 6.
Mm-hmm.
So the kiter will go in there and we'll be in there for a couple of minutes.
Sure. Before
everybody else comes in. It has worked really, really well for us.
Yeah, because the only thing they can aggro on is the kiter, so it makes it really easy to do that.
Exactly. But you still need to do some damage. Yeah. Otherwise, someone comes in, does even a little bit of damage, they can pull it off. Mm-hmm. So you need to do a little bit to the shadows as the kiter. Yeah,
it's a good method. It just depends on how patient you
are. It's worth it because this part is so easy to wipe.
It is. It really is. Going back to the kiting thing, if I'm remembering correctly, I think it took him about a minute to kill me. from full health on my tank. And I don't think I really healed myself. I think I just kind of let to see how long they would kill me. But I might have done a little bit of healing. But if you had a healer and if you were really spec'd out for it, I think you could do it.
I need to experiment more with it.
Yeah, it's
because my druid in water elemental form is 65% cold absorption. So
so if you had an item and some stuff in there, and because they don't really do physical damage, just the elemental damage. I'm not sure how much MRR plays into that, but it's definitely doable, I think. I think the only reason we really haven't given it a serious go in my guild is because we don't usually go with a tank of someone of that caliber, other than the person who's probably outside tanking the dragon anyways. So, and we're pretty good at kiting, so it's not usually a big deal. But I think it's doable. If we were going on higher Reaper skulls, we might consider it. But I think even then, once you've got the aggro established, it seems like once we've figured out that, give the kiter a fighting chance to get aggro as opposed to having 12 people up on that dais, or sorry, probably more like 9 or 10. That it's a lot easier to kind of get through that section. So. All right, so after this section, there's a shrine. There's a red shrine, and you go back out, and you fight Korkaza. This is going to be on the island straight to the south. And the one thing I would say here is, so this time you're not going to go to a different island to fight her again. It's just everything's going to happen on this one big island. If you are the tank and the healer, and you're out there and you're waiting for this, don't DPS the dragon here. The first wave of trash spawns at like 90% health. They come really fast compared to the other islands. And we did have we had a guy that we were running normal, and our quote tank was really more of a monk. He did okay. He was fine, but he's not a tank. He went out there and he started DPSing. And we had Netherios down to about 75%, and he died because the trash spawned and killed him. We were okay. We completed the raid, but I think we probably lost about 50 to 60% on the ritual just because of that. So, do not DPS on this last island until everyone's there and ready to go. You will get trash very soon, and all that. So, while we're here, something to mention: you can. What I have seen, some healers might just hang out in the air jet to kind of give room to maneuver for the tank, and pop on the island. You can get zapped while you are there, so watch. You can try it, but if you start getting zapped, get on that island pretty quick because you're gonna get zapped pretty quick. I think as long as the tank is there, though, generally it's not gonna be a problem. However, the special attack the dragon does, where it pulls the wings in and has the runes going around. That will zap you from the starting area as well. Just FYI. I have personally experienced that.
I've tried that trick, hovering in the air jet. It didn't seem to work real well for me. There's a big red orb around where the dragon is. It encompasses the entire island. It's huge. And it seems like if you're outside of that, that's when you start getting jacked with lightning strikes.
Yeah. Depending on which island you're on. You also can't heal through it, and you have to have someone inside of that orb in order to stop the ritual. So,
yes.
All right. So the last island, much like the island before it, the difference is the trash is going to be blade forged, which I think are generally easier to deal with than the devils personally, because they're not teleporting around anywhere. They also don't have spell resistance. They're not difficult to deal with, but again, I'd say we have everyone kill them all. They only spawn based on the health of the dragon, and if only 1 or 2 people are killing them, you might get more than you can handle because you'll get to the next benchmark. Not good. So kill them all. All the special attacks for the dragon are in play.
This is the kitchen sink island.
Yeah.
They're throwing everything at you here.
When you get to parasites, again, the parasites will spawn as a group and then kind of slowly respawn. The thing about this island, though, is that some of the parasites will spawn with a shield around them, which means you can only instant kill them. At least as far as I can tell. You can hurl them. I think you can finger death them. I'm not really sure. Maybe it's just hurl. You can make them go away with a limited number of spells, but you can't damage them. And I haven't noticed if that shield is timed, or I remember someone talking about how long the timer is on the shield, so they may be timed. You may be able to wait it out, but you probably won't because it'll probably kill you before you get there. So, yeah. Once those start spawning again, you're gonna want to give a nice good push on Korkaza. The only exception to that is I say, again, when they initially spawn, have everyone kill trash, kill the parasites that way you're only dealing with the respawns, which are usually singular and slower pace, so it gives a small portion of the group a better chance of dealing with them, and kill all the Warforged as they spawn, even if there's parasites out as well, because letting it snowball away from you is what's going to kill you more than anything else. Anything else you want to talk about on this island?
DPS Korkaza quickly.
Yeah. Once the parasites start spawning, that's when you really want to ramp up the DPS if you can.
You can wipe on this island. It's like I said, they're throwing everything at you.
You can wipe on any of these islands, really. But yeah, watch for the trash. That's the biggest thing I've noticed that it catches people is the trash spawns, and people are really slow to react to it. Don't wait for someone to say the trash is here. If you see trash, go kill it. The tank should be keeping an eye on Korkaza. If you see that the blue circle, the big blue circles are on the ground, tell everyone to get out. If you see the runes going overhead, tell everyone get in. Right? Because that's when you're gonna lose people, is because they're not necessarily watching that. They may be fighting trash and not have Korkaza in their field of vision. Now, if you are not fighting Korkaza, try to keep Korkaza in your field of vision so you can see those attacks coming. But try to communicate, help each other out with what's coming and what's happening. Help you get through these dragon fight phases.
It's kind of awkward, but it may be helpful. If you are running two healers, and you should be, is to swap them out. Don't have that same healer be with the tank the entire time, because that can be really draining on their blue bar. Or let the first half of the raid have one healer with them, and then they swap them out so that first healer gets to go into one of the portals and get a shrine.
Yeah, usually if you're gonna do that, what I would say is, the healer that goes into the Vaughn 3 room is gonna go into the Lord of Blades room as well, and the other healer is gonna go into the Tower of Despair room.
And like I mentioned last time, if you do have a self-sufficient tank that can, for a couple of minutes hold their own, we have had success in, when Netherios is at 10%, the party, stops DPS, waits for that healer to quickly run over and get in that portal before Netherios is dead, so that the tank healer can get that shrine and then quickly get back out to the tanks. But that tank needs to be self-sufficient for a good 2 minutes.
Yep. All right, once you get this last island down, Korkaza is going to fly away. She's going to open the last time rift, which will be the Lord of Blades fight. And Korkaza is going to go all the way back up to that cross-shaped island. We didn't mention it, but going to this island to the south, from the last island where the TOD rift comes in, which is the northeast. My preferred way to do it is to just go ride the jets up to the main island and then go down. You can ride the jets back down clockwise, though, if you wish.
I just jump off, fall, and then go from the main island.
We don't always clear those rooms, though, so...
Right.
Yeah.
If you didn't clear the rooms, then
Jumping
don't
off
do that.
Not a good plan. Also, it's worth noting that going into the Lord of Blades portal is not a good way of getting your tank to the first island.
No.
Yeah.
You can't get back out.
Nope.
You go in those portals, the only way out is to clear it.
Let's see. So you get into Lord of Blades room. This is really basic. If you've run Lord of Blades fight, it's basically exactly the same. But there's a couple of mechanics that are really helpful to know. You'll start with a bunch of trash. Not a whole lot, but you have Lord of Blades, 2 hounds, and some trash. Kill the trash. Having someone kite the dogs is kind of the best method of dealing with them. Then you don't have to keep killing them. Just have them kite them away from Lord of Blades. The Lord of Blades uses all of his special attacks pretty much straight out of the gate. The one thing I have noticed is that even if he doesn't successfully stun the tank, he still does the whirlwind, the spinning weapon behind him. There is an audio cue for that one. That's one of the most helpful audio cues in the game to know. I have seen a lot of people try to play this game where while the Lord of Blades is spinning the weapon behind him, they try to come around to the side to keep hitting the Lord of Blades. Usually what I end up seeing happen when people try that is either they don't move far enough and they're still in the spinning blade attack and get killed, or they get too far to the front, and when he finishes that attack with a power shot to the front, and then they get killed by that. So my recommendation is just wait the 5 seconds to resume your DPS. It's just not, or someone steals aggro and spins the Lord of Blades while he's doing that or something like that. It just seems to always go poorly for people trying to be really clever with that. The Rain of Blades attack, when he shoots the blades up, it seems to be bugged, or it doesn't scale very much. It's not scaling. It barely tickles, so that's not really a concern. The whirlwind attack, when he spins his weapon around, it kind of turns you into a pinball. What we used to do in Lord of Blades is you jump into the water for that attack, so he couldn't get you, and it was less damage to be in the water. You can't actually jump off the island in this one, so you have, the good news is he can't throw you like halfway across way back into the corner of the water, but he can kind of pound you around a little bit, so you got to be ready to take some punishment there. He still does the what people would call Superman, where he jump up and jump back down. Although he doesn't, I haven't noticed him really doing the crossing part of that mechanic. He just kind of jumps down and starts going after people. He does summon the hounds to him. The hound goo is still in play. The one thing kind of about that is, the part about this that I think a lot of people never really picked up on is when the hounds are around the Lord of Blades, they buff him and give him damage, pretty high damage reduction or damage mitigation. So you really want to keep the hounds away from him as much as possible. He will call them over, but they'll go back to the kiter if no one steals their aggro. Anything else we should mention here?
Well, like you said, it's the Lord of Blades end fight. There's no water to be thrown in. There's no pillars to break.
Nope.
There's no
The quarry don't
buff
come
in the middle. No buff in the middle. There's no triple beat down to mark him or anything like that. So it's just the sort of the core components of the fight. I will say that we do prefer to beat down to kill the dogs. We have everybody break off the Lord of Blades, tank hordes the Lord of Blades, and we just kill the dogs. And we like to do that because it just gets them out of the way.
Do they
we don't have to worry about
re-heal?
They will respawn at 70, 30, and 10.
Yeah, that's where it
But
used
we just
to be.
break off,
It always was, yeah.
get them out of the way, and then back to the Lord of Blades. That way, if they break free from the kiter or the kiter goes down, you don't have to worry about that, and that they won't get called over to buff the Lord of Blades. Just they're out of the way, and once they're beat down, then that kiter, the person who would otherwise be the kiter, they're freed up to now DPS the Lord of Blades. So you might think kiting is a little faster, but like I said, you're actually freeing up that kiter to DPS the Lord of Blades, so some of that time is made up in their DPS.
We're usually having the Insta-Killer Warlock kiting him around, so his DPS is negligible compared to the rest of us. Yeah, I mean, it's all options, whatever you want to do. Once you get him down pretty low, the last kind of reset point for him, the last dialogue point, you'll get trash. Once you kill the trash, that's pretty much the end of the raid. The trick here, though, is you have to wait. There's a lot of dialogue before Korkaza stops doing her ritual. So if you're really close, you can actually kill Lord of Blades, but then fail the raid, or finish the Lord of Blades part, but fail the raid in the intermediate dialogue section. So keep that in mind. There was actually an awkward point where you would get completion of the raid, but fail. You like start the ending mechanics, but you would fail and end up in a. If you fail the raid because of the ritual, you end up in this little room that you can exit out of. And if you stayed in that room long enough, the raid would actually go through all of its mechanics and complete the raid, but you wouldn't be able to get the raid chest. I think they fixed that though.
I think it has been fixed.
Um,
It's worth mentioning here that it when you beat down the Lord of Blades, he gets back up,
a
and
couple
it kind
times.
of freaks you out. Yeah, and so but the raid, once you beat him down, it's over. But
Yeah.
I guess it's just I think it's poor coding,
Well,
because they just
they're
sort
just
of copied
reusing
and pasted a
the
bunch of
fight.
that. Right, but because there is no more beatdown at that point.
Right, but if
He should just stay down.
from a story point, no, because the end of the story is he gets back up like he does, and then
That's
Korkaza just says, you know what, this is stupid, this isn't gonna work, I'm gonna end it, right? Like,
and this is part of the I the raid fell flat here for me because it was like we were all expecting like a big Korkaza end fight, and it's just
yeah, it's a little
over.
anticlimactic. There's a cutscene and all that stuff to deal with Korkaza. But yeah, once you finish the Lord of Blades, it's kind of the end of it. So. But
And it's also worth mentioning that your tank and healer at that point, while everybody else fighting the Lord of Blades, you're just babysitting Korkaza.
mm-hmm.
You don't have to do anything other than stay alive, and that's it.
Yep. True. All right, closing tips, tactics, or anything? I will say that I actually on my tank, I tank outside alone. I don't take a healer with me. I have one of the artificer hybrid tanks. In between healing hands and lay on hands and reconstruct. I have enough healing on hard to stay out there for a pretty long time and keep going. So that is an option. Also, with no one around, I can kind of move the dragon around like I was talking about earlier, where you can kind of keep tumbling one way to the other and kind of interrupt her beefier hit mechanics and kind of keep alive that way. So you can do that. Just be aware that if someone says they can do that and they fail, you might fail the raid because they didn't do that. So the first time we tried that, it was there was someone else out there to make sure I didn't die, but I tried to do it by myself. So that's an option. You can do that. If you are the leader or maybe have someone else do this, I kind of like, because we did once have a tank that was paying attention more to Hockey, to what he was doing, and he went to the Lord of Blades portal. It can be helpful to make sure that the tank is on their way before everyone goes through the portal, so at least someone is going to play with the Korkaza. Just kind of keep that in mind as well. So
I would say, like we said earlier, it's not the most pug-friendly raid in the world. Be prepared, take it seriously, be organized and coordinated, and this isn't the kind of raid that you're just going to muscle through it.
True.
You're not just going to power through this raid. You need to be on top of things.
Pay attention to what's going on around you. That's going to be the thing that's going to get you in the short run. There's a lot of things that are trying to kill you, and the dragon is the most predictable of all of them. So, all right, I think we covered that pretty good. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to Voodu for helping me out and recording all this and giving us a good, nice, thorough walkthrough of Killing Time. We hope it's helpful. If there's something you want to add or something you don't understand or something that you think we got completely wrong, there's probably at least a couple things we did. Leave a comment. Email us, DDOCast@gmail.com. We want to get it. We want to let people know what we got wrong and get it all right. And other tactics that people are using, we want to get out there as well. If you'd like to support the show, you can visit our website, DDOCast.com, or you can support us on Patreon. You can also find show notes, past shows, and more on our website. Don't forget to check out Voodu's YouTube channel. He's got a lot of videos there, walkthroughs of probably every raid but this one.
That's coming soon.
I'm sure it is.
Ooh, can I mention
Yeah,
that?
absolutely.
Hey, our teaching raids are gonna, by the time this episode hits, our teaching raids are gonna be right around the corner. I'm tentatively planning them to start on January 5th, and then through the winter and spring, pretty much every Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern on Sarlona. We're gonna be doing these teaching raids, a different raid every week, and these are for raid newbies. You've never done the raid before, you've done it a few times, you still have a lot to learn. Even if you've never run any raids before, or you're new to the game, get flagged. These events are for you. They're slower paced. It's a learning environment. We explain how the whole raid works, and we definitely will be doing killing time a couple of times.
And you live stream them, so if you're not on Solana, you can still check them out.
Yes, I'm glad you said that too, because this year we're going to be live streaming them not on my YouTube channel, but on my Twitch channel. And my Twitch channel is Voodu Spice. VOODUSPYCE, no space.
And we have that auto hosted on DDOCast, Twitch TV/DDOCast as well. So you can check it out there. Or you want to follow him directly, that's great because it helps him figure out his supporters. And there's a lot of metrics that it's go follow him by all means. But if you don't want to have follows for a lot of different places, you can also catch it on DDOCast on Twitch as well. And hey, if you Twitch DDO and you want it to be hosted by DDOCast when you're twitching, let me know. I'd be happy to do it. All right. So if you want to join the discussion, leave a comment, email us, DDOcast@gmail.com. We appreciate you guys listening to us, and we hope this is really helpful. Until next time, may all your attack rolls be crits, all your chest level appropriate. Have fun. Don't forget to gather for buffs.